You like big heads.
Oh my goodness. You like big heads? That's crazy. How are we ever going to get through this? Welcome to the 4-man front. It's been so long, I forgot to do it. We are here. We are here. And don't look now. Welcome back. Cypher Sore Eyes. Ain't seen me in a month of Sundays. To the Coach's Huddle. I'm the coach. That's Jesse Naylor. That's Ryan G. Hensley. And that's Grant Cohn. And we're here for our regularly scheduled installment of 4-Man Front. We missed last week. Grant was going off being the greatest man he could be in Indiana. Ryan was doing beautiful things in California, and Jesse was just down there in Florida taunting me on all of their balmy weather while I freeze my ass up here in the greater Washington, D.C. area. But alas, we are back. Much has happened. Much has transpired. Dare I say, we're a little lighter, a little.
Hold on. You didn't even thank these guys for sending you Deebo Samuel to where you live now?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. I walked outside and it smelled like barbecue. And I said, something's different. Smells like ribs outside. Then I heard that Deebo Samuel got traded to the Washington Commanders. And now I knew exactly what it was. We in every jersey store, every large Eagles AJ Brown jersey sold out. First day. Could you imagine it?
I tell you,
went over there, all the little YNs. Debo's down here buying up all the Balenciagas. We can't hold down anything in DC.
He has the best fashion sense, man.
Oh, man. I went to the latest shopping depot down in Georgetown. I told him, I said, look out. There's a pro player coming, and he's ready to spend.
He's got expensive taste.
Hey, all the moon boots, hot pink rhinestone beanies, whatever you want, leather kilts. Come on, dog. We got to do a show.
Leather kilts.
I'm going to tell you right now, I know that it's probably a little overbaked, but I was hoping that somebody did a show of Deebo's best game day uniforms. Did anybody ever do? Because that's what I'm going to miss. The leather kilt with the Spice Girl boots. I'm a Barbie's girl in a Barbie's world. That's
boots. Not a Spice Girl song.
Who is that?
That's not a Spice Girl song.
Who was that?
Party. Who remembers that when Deebo rocked
I do remember that. That was more like house music in the 90s. I forget who made that.
Aqua.
I'll look it up.
Come on,
Aqua.
Barbie. Let's go, Party.
It was Aqua. Yeah.
There it is. Ryan's like, this is easy. Like, are you kidding? Obviously, it's Aqua.
Come on.
Dog. So, look. Let's just get right into it, man. Going into the draft, the Niners have lost Deebo Samuel. We'll get into all of the particulars behind it. But don't look now, but we don't have necessarily a number one receiver. And this year's draft, in my opinion, is a very thin draft. There's not a lot of day one guys at the receiver position. Honestly, I don't think there's a lot of day two guys. They all kind of meld in around that second round, end of second round, the early third round pick, where you start to see guys going. All right. The 49ers have had their highest draft pick this year since Trey Lance pick, trading up from 12 to 3 in 2021. Should they use it on a wide receiver or trade down for more picks? And if they do use it, should they be using this on Ted McMillan? All right. I'll start with Ryan first.
You probably picked the worst person to start on Frente de Cuatro Hombres this evening because I haven't looked at any of the college players. And plus, the 49ers do have Trent Taylor, if I'm not mistaken. So I would disqualify that. Why don't we move on to somebody else? Because I have no idea. I haven't watched any college tape this offseason.
Grant loves Ted McMillan.
Before anybody says anything,
I said order. Order in the court.
Listen up. Ryan, you came on the channel and you have not looked at any draft prospects This
No.
offseason, who raised you?
A sweet lady by the name of Jane.
Mary.
It be your own people, man. Came right on my platform, man. Hey, so look, I'll start with Jesse. Let's start with Ted McMillan. Let's go there for a little bit. Right now, he's the #1 overall wide receiver prospect right now. His player comp that I have for him is Drake London, 6'4", 220, got a 4.5 guy, long range. This guy's explosive, can take the top off of a defense, was the #1 tip of the spear guy for the Arizona Bobcats coming out. I will tell you this. Coming into this year's free agency, it's really not good. You got Devontae Adams, maybe Amari Cooper. You're looking at who's that? Diggs, Stephon Diggs is at the top. But outside of that, there's really not anybody that wows you at #1. So outside of moving on in free agency, what say you, Jesse? Do you make the pick at 11 for this guy, or do you move on?
Well, only because you call them the Arizona Bobcats, I'll say yes. But here's my thing. Like, what I find interesting with the Deebo Samuel move, and I know we're going to talk about that in depth later, but you got the Deebo Samuel move, and now you've got the conversation about Brandon Aiyuk potentially being traded. If I would have told you 2 weeks ago that the 49ers were going to draft a wide receiver at number 11, you'd be like, no, absolutely not. What the hell? But now that Aiyuk might be on the move, Deebo Samuel's been traded, it now becomes okay to draft a wide receiver. Whoever that wide receiver is that you feel is #1. I've heard a lot of people comp him to Mike Evans as well. So I think that there's a lot of talent. He has a ton of talent. He's been the #1 wide receiver prospect pretty clearly for the last year. Now, of course, we get into draft conversations and other guys start to rise up boards. And is he really the #1 guy? I don't know. But here's what I will say. When I look at the wide receiver position, as it stands now, it's probably like number 7 or 8 on my list of needs for this team. They do have a lot of needs. Would I be pissed if they took the #1 wide receiver? No. But I would be disappointed. I do feel like that next crop of receivers that you're talking about, the round 2, the round 3 guys, I think that there's a good cast of characters within there that I would be totally fine picking from. And then I also have to look at how the 49ers are built. 49ers are not a throw first team. Like, everybody was pissed off when they spent all that money on Aiyuk and spent all that money on Deebo. Why continue to pour assets into it? You've got George Kittle. You drafted a receiver #1. You've got Jennings. You're good. Like, pick up ancillary pieces, but you've got to build through the trenches. So I would say no on Ted McMillan.
All right. Grant, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with what Jesse said. I really like Ted McMillan. If they're going to move on from Brandon Aiyuk, he'd be a great replacement. They need an X receiver. He's an X receiver. He's bigger than Aiyuk. He might be faster than Aiyuk. He's probably comparable as a route runner. I mean, I haven't seen him play in the NFL yet. I just really like him. But to Jesse's point, it's not their biggest need. And what's the point of drafting a wide receiver? To help your quarterback. Okay, what would help Brock more? Another receiver to add on to Kittle, Pearsall, Jennings, or a good offensive lineman? I think a good offensive lineman. If the idea in round 1 is help Brock, then you get a Pro Bowl right tackle or guard or left tackle, whatever, center. Now you've improved Brock and you've improved the running game on a run first team, and you still have good receivers, not the best group of receivers in the league, but a damn good group considering Kittle's the tip of the spear. So no, they probably can't draft Ted McMillan, which is too bad because they put themselves in this situation by not drafting trenches the last few years. And if they find another reason to not draft the trenches this year, you put yourself in a bad situation in the future, just kicking the can down the road. If you like Kelvin Banks and he's available, you got to take him. If you like Will Campbell and he's available, you got to take him. It doesn't seem like Armand Memba will be available anymore, but if he's there at 8 and you want to trade up, freaking do it. Or take a D lineman, one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that in some instances, but the thing is that I know that we're a run first team, and I get it. You don't want to basically spend the highest pick since we've had in damn near 5 years on another skill guy. We already know how we feel about the offensive line and how they pay attention to it. It's remarkable, especially the trenches. But guys, after Travis Hunter and Ted McMillan, this is a big drop off. We do not have a number one receiver right now. Essentially, we're walking into this year with is Brandon Aiyuk going to be ready for week 1? I don't know. That's a whole nother subject. But right now, we could be essentially walking in with Jacob Cowing, Ricky Pearsall, and Juwan Jennings as our receiving core. You can't honestly tell me that's a winning solution on any scale as far as passing
Kittle
the ball.
is part of the receiving core. He's going to lead the team in targets.
All right, well, good luck leading the way with a tight end. That's not really moving the needle.
I mean, it worked for the Chiefs and the Patriots for like years.
Yeah.
Say it again.
I was going to say, yeah, go ahead. You were saying that it worked for the Chiefs. He said it works for the Chiefs and Patriots for years. I mean, listen, this is what it looks like when you pay a quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we were worried about, this situation here. So the problem is that if you draft the receiver, then everybody will bitch about the offensive line. If you draft the offensive line, people will bitch about the weapons. Guess what?
But if that quarterback is really the truth, it won't matter. But if he's not the truth, then these glaring weaknesses are going to hold him back.
Yep.
Agreed.
Which is why they should trade Brock Purdy. What?
Is that what you've been up to since I've been gone for 3 weeks? Is that what you've been doing?
My bad. I just kind of, I didn't see it. I just blurted it out.
All right. Well, speaking of trades, let's get into our next topic. Should the 49ers trade Brandon Aiyuk or build around him? Aiyuk got his big contract, then got hurt, and now trade rumors are swelling again. Would moving him clear cap space and replenish picks, or would it be a mistake to let another homegrown talent walk? Are the 49ers setting themselves up for another Deebo-like move?
I will say that they should trade Brandon Aiyuk as long as, I mean, obviously somebody's going to have to be willing to take him. And then what are you going to get in return? I mean, are you looking at what Deebo got, like a 5th-round pick, 6th-round pick? Is that what it is? Can you stomach that? Listen, I was probably, I don't remember everybody's stance on here. I do remember Grant was not into signing Aiyuk. I was definitely into signing Aiyuk. I thought that they should have done it. But a year later, now that he's been injured and we've kind of seen it play out, if a team is willing to take on that contract and give you something for it, I'm just looking at the path of the 49ers. And what is the quickest way back to success? It is taking it on the chin in 2025, eating a bunch of dead cap, going into 2026 with $100 million to spend, and figuring it out from there. And if that includes moving on from Brandon Aiyuk, then I'm all for it. Like it's time to just get out from every contract you regret, move on, clean slate 2026. That's what I'm looking for. And I would say if a team is willing to take on Brandon Aiyuk, then yes, I would absolutely do it, because I would rather him shine on another team than figure out that he's never going to be close to the same and be getting paid stupid money on the 49ers.
Grant.
Yeah, it's like you've already kind of messed up this season. You're going to be leading the league in dead cap. You might be good. I mean, you have an easy schedule, but I think the goal right now is to have the most flexibility in cap space and really make a run in 2026. I mean, you don't want to suck this year because people could get fired, but I think more realistically, the Niners could be really good next year. And so maybe you want Brandon Aiyuk to be a part of that, but maybe you're skeptical that he can be the person he was before his injury and ever live up to that contract. So start over. I think it's clear that the owners have given an edict to the front office, like, we don't want to spend a lot of money this year. We spent a lot of money last year. So save us money. And this is a clear way to save money. He has a $22 million option bonus on April 1. You have to write him a $22 million check on April 1. I don't think they want to do that. So what's interesting about the wide receiver position too is, like, if they get rid of him, do they need a wide receiver? Yes. Could they take one in round 1? Yes. But Devontae Adams is available. Receivers are not hard to find. You can get really freaking good wide receivers on the freaking free agent market for a year, like a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. So it's not a hard position. If they get rid of Brandon Aiyuk, they can replace him pretty easily, in my opinion. Now, getting an offensive tackle, that's really freaking hard.
Well, I was going to say real quick, the rumor, one of the latest rumors is the Patriots are hot to trot to go after a number 1 wide receiver. So if that is the case, let's not forget that the Patriots were the first team to make a legitimate offer last year and were basically kiboshed right away. Brandon Ayuk's not going to go there. They were going to give like a early second round pick or something. Yeah, I think it was an early second round pick and then pay Brandon Aiyuk over $30 million per year. They've already reached out to the Eagles about AJ Brown. They were told no. There's not a number one wide receiver, like young wide receiver that they can pair with their young quarterback for many years to come out there. I think a team like the Patriots might get desperate enough to give you more than what he's probably worth at this point and take that chance. And if they're willing to do that, then absolutely. See you later. Sayonara. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. My biggest thing right now is that we always knew the juice wasn't going to be worth the squeeze because he had to overcompensate for the contract that he got initially. It was a contentious negotiation, but the way I see it is he's hurt. Before we got him, he was a fringe number one before he got hurt. And right now, with the injuries notwithstanding, I think that it makes it great and perfect sense to rip the Band-Aid off and try to get ahead of this and move on from him as fast as possible. I would almost take him at a loss if somebody was willing to eat the contract. Right now, I just think that the Niners are setting themselves up for a long, painful existence with Brandon Aiyuk. And then the truth is that as he's here, like you said, Grant, he's due $22 million coming up. I'm asking Brandon Aiyuk to take a pay cut if I'm the Niners. Like, let's read the room. Now is not the time to be ceremoniously paying guys. That was last year. That was the year before where you paid guys to make them feel good about where they stood on the team because they were actually winning. Now it's time for us to actually kind of bow up and circle the wagons as far as making sure that we have the money to even sign a draft class, let alone free agency. And you can't do that with a guy that shouldn't be paid $30 million per. I don't believe in it. I think that, building around Brandon Aiyuk is a fool's errand. And the sooner we realize that, not to say that there's anything wrong with BA as far as like him being a player, but as soon as we realize that, the better off we'll be. Ryan, what do you have for me?
Does it seem like the owners are making the front office's decision really easy this offseason? Like, hey, we want to spend a lot less. They're like, okay, well, should we trade Aiyuk?
You're jumping ahead.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, man. So the question is, should the 49ers trade Brandon Aiyuk or build around him? I think it's kind of neither for me right now. I mean, I would love for them to trade him, but this guy, his knee is worse than my Wi-Fi, right? Like bad ACL, bad MCL, coming off of surgery for both. Who is going to trade for Brandon Aiyuk in those situations with his contract? It's hard for me to understand why a team would do that. I also don't think you should build around Brandon Aiyuk. He should be part of the team, I think, this coming season. I mean, I would trade him, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I anticipate he's going to be part of the team. Now, maybe you guys know more than me. Maybe there are teams that are actually interested in Brandon Aiyuk for whatever reason. I just don't get it. If I'm a GM, I'm not spending that kind of money on a wide receiver coming off that injury. It just doesn't make sense to me. So my best guess is he's going to be here, but I wouldn't build around Brandon Aiyuk either. I would just kind of play it out this coming season, see how he does, and then go from there, make that decision next offseason.
Why would you make a decision next offseason?
Well, for one, I don't think people are going to be trading for him. I could be wrong, but I don't think that happens. And you want to see what he looks like coming off of this injury. I think if you're cutting him this season, you're going to be paying a lot of money for nothing. You might as well keep him on the team with the money you're going to be spending anyways, see how he recovers from that injury, and then go from there.
I think it's fair that we probably give the details of what an actual trade would look like for the 49ers, right? So, and for the team taking on Brandon Aiyuk. So, listen, if right now the 49ers are paying $11 million and change, I don't know how this has happened or how they wrote this contract, but if they trade him, it's technically, it says before June 1st, but I think there's a date in April where this becomes null and void. But if they trade him, it's only going to cost them $18 million. So we're talking about an extra $7 million at dead cap, which is not bad for a guy.
They don't seem to care about dead cap right now.
Yeah,
really hasn't started. Exactly.
Kind of open.
Exactly. And then again, that money is free and clear. You don't pay the $16 million next year, the $41 million the year after that, the $44 million the year after that. Now
Rip the
new
band
team,
off.
the new team that acquires him, right, will pay $24 million, $27 million, $28 million, and $30 million.
Who's going to do that?
All it takes is
We
one.
just got this sucker is born every second, dude.
A team with a quarterback on a rookie deal.
It takes one.
A team with a quarterback on a rookie deal. So all those teams that were interested last year, you call them up. And I mean, it was just reported a couple weeks ago that teams are poking around about Brandon Aiyuk. There's still interest there. Now the Niners probably have to pick up some of the salary, but I mean, it's a negotiation. And I think everyone knows the Niners don't want to give him that $22 million check in 3 weeks.
No, they're not going to pay him that money, dude. His DOA. They got to move on. I think right now they need to stay in this energy of ripping the Band-Aid off. One thing that I will say is that let's get some super chats out the way first. My bad, guys. Yaz Williams 199, coach is back. Thank you, Yaz. Jewish guy 199, thank you. Finally, coaches come back to YouTube. Thank you, Yaz Williams. Deebo fits our sus. They're questionable. Hugo de Jesus 199, Grant with Mom Spaghetti Entrepreneur. I love it. You out here doing things? You got the mom spaghetti? Knees weak, arms heavy?
Spaghetti.
Maynard Keaton, $5. Thank you. Why should the Niners take a wide receiver early when they don't use one as a true number one? Waste of a pick, in my opinion. We all know how Kyle uses them. Well, we don't have a number one receiver. You're just going to see 10 in the box. It's gonna we got to get somebody to. It's like just because Kyle doesn't value it doesn't mean that it's not needed. Like,
Isn't it kind of crazy to you draft Ricky Pearsall in the first round, you give Brandon Aiyuk a big contract, you give Deebo a big contract, and then this year we're gonna draft one in the first again? There's other positions on this team.
I just think that it's a weak receiver class, and if we don't get one of the best ones, what's the sense of getting a number one? We're essentially looking at drafting possibly another Ricky Pearsall, another guy who we're going to bring in here to do a job that's bigger than his skill set and where we drafted him and expect him to do things once he gets here.
What about the report that Tariq Owens is the guy? What about that report? You guys buying that one?
What type of guy? The cable guy?
No offense to Tariq Owens, who was in my high school, but that wasn't a report. That was hilarious on Twitter. So funny. I bookmarked it just so I could come back in 6 months and be like, what in the world? Because I don't want to dunk on Tariq. Good kid. It's not his fault that his dad's Terrell Owens and he has these expectations. But where did that come from? Why would you write that?
His daddy said that?
No, Lombardi said that, man.
Yeah.
Lombardi's working really hard to put lipstick on this portion of the offseason.
On this thing.
It's
Tariq Owens is a guy.
You can understand why the Niners are doing what they're doing, but he's trying to make it seem like they're getting better and this is good. Well, maybe it'll be good next year, but it's not great now.
Remember when people hyped up Isaac Yiadom last offseason? I'm like, have you guys watched Isaac Yiadom? He's been in the league for a long time. You think he's going to come here and be a superstar? No.
I will say there is possibly a chance that the loss of Deebo is actually an upgrade for the 49ers. I think that is possible.
That takes us into our next topic.
There we go.
All right.
So good. It's like you knew the topics before.
It's almost like you knew the topics beforehand, but you only prepared for certain ones. So was trading Deebo Shanahan's decision, or was he forced? All right. So Kyle Shanahan has always had final say on roster moves, and Deebo was his favorite player. We already know this. But after a 6-11 season and an underperformance of the highest paid stars, did Kyle actually want to trade Deebo? Or was this decision forced by ownership? Could this be a signal of a shift in power where Kyle is just the head coach and not the roster decision maker anymore? If so, is he secretly on the hot seat? So, do you guys flat out? Let me just ask, and I'll ask Ryan because I know you're so prepared. Do you think that Kyle was forced to get rid of Deebo, to tell him, yo, go look for your trade? Or do you think it was Kyle's decision?
From my understanding, Deebo's the one that requested the trade, right? So,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what was reported, that at the exit meeting, Deebo talked to Kyle and said he wants a trade. So I don't know if the Deebo situation is necessarily relevant to whether it's Kyle's decision or not. I think Kyle is under some scrutiny, under the microscope, and he's has some restraints on what he's able to do, but I don't necessarily know if Deebo's the explanation for that.
Do you buy that? That Deebo's the one who asked?
I think so,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Go
they
ahead,
were going to
Brad.
tell him, hey, we're going to cut your salary or we're going to trade you. But I think he came in and beat him to the punch. Kind of like when in 7th grade, I knew that Mara DeCudro was going to dump me at lunch. So I went and said, hey, Mara, could we talk? And she said, yeah. And I said, it's not working out. And she said, you can't do that. I was going to do it first. And I said, I just did it. It's over. In your face. So I did.
Yeah.
So you really
Got it,
believe
Mara.
that Deebo
And then
did
she ended up
something?
dating Big Crit for a while in like the 2010s. So I guess the joke was on me, but I was there. I was 7th grade. Me.
All right,
right.
so was Deebo, all right, so Deebo basically, before this, would you say that he was beating him to the punch of getting cut, or was he beating him to the punch of getting a pay cut, being asked to take a pay cut?
I think one or the other. I mean, they just gave him a better contract before the season. But what was funny though is I think Deebo was a little salty, to be honest, ever since before last draft when the 49ers tried to move him. Then I think that's kind of what started this, right? They considered trading him before last draft, and that doesn't rub certain players correctly, especially guys like Deebo. I think that hurts the ego a little bit. Then he came out talking about he's not getting the touches, even though he was. So the dynamics were just off, and I think Deebo just wanted to restart somewhere else.
Jesse?
I do think that there's an aspect of this that he was kind of forced, the way that Grant talked about, where it's like, hey, he knew that he was going to get broken up with, so he just did it first. Because the 49ers, it sounds like, were basically out on him after the Super Bowl performance. Like, those are all the rumors that are coming out now. And it was the 49ers front office that wanted to move on from him last year. Kyle Shanahan didn't. So I don't think Kyle Shanahan necessarily wanted to move on from him. I do think that there are a lot of members in the organization that did want to move on from him. Like usual, Kyle tends to win those disagreements.
Not
but
this year.
They took it out of his hands this year. And Deebo Samuel asked for a trade. And I think the fact that Deebo Samuel saying, hey, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, those are my guys, that's his way of sending a shot. Like, I know that it wasn't them that wanted me out of here.
I know it wasn't them.
It was the other guys. So screw them, basically. So that's what I think happened.
Well, if he believes that, I think he's idiot. I think that he's sorely mistaken. I mean, do you think that they reluctantly let him go then? I think that kind of circles back into the question. If they got outvoted, if it was up to Kyle and John, would Deebo still be here?
And Deebo didn't request, is what you're saying?
Yeah, what do you think?
If you're up to Kyle,
He'd be here.
if you're up to Kyle, I don't think Kyle had it in him to move on from Deebo Samuel. I don't think the relationship between them is particularly good, but I don't know what it is about Kyle. He can take a stand with Jordan Mason, but when it comes to Deebo Samuel, like, he wants to be liked, and he can't be the man who breaks up. And I don't know why, but I just don't think the Niners had the strength or the wherewithal to be the ones to end it. Maybe I'm wrong.
So we lucked out by him actually pulling the trigger, because the way I read this, from my way, way far back perspective, is before I got news that Deebo was the one who actually pulled the trigger and said, hey, I want to go look for a trade. I was under the impression that possibly Kyle may have gotten told, hey, you got to do something with him. Not necessarily move on from him, but if not at this price tag, like, you got to go over there and tell this guy that he's got to take a pay cut or we're moving on. And I thought that Kyle may have gotten kind of voluntold to do it.
I like that.
I think Deebo felt it coming too, right? Like, they tried to trade him off this last offseason. He probably saw the writing on the wall and jumped in front of it, requesting that trade. But I also think if he didn't request that trade, and this was just spin, like some people say, and some people in the chat are saying, I think Deebo would be forthcoming with that information. I don't think he's one to hold back on that type of stuff. So I think he did request it, whether it's genuine or not.
I also think he needs a fresh start in a different system, because I don't think he's like a starting outside receiver anymore. He's not as fast or explosive as he was. He's not running by anyone on a go route. I think at this point in his career, he's not a receiver. He's not a running back. He's like a slot receiver. I think he needs a two-way go so he could go left or right and have a little more space. Because if he has the sideline there, he's not running past you. You can smother whatever short routes he's going to run. And the Niners don't really play 3 wide receivers. And if they did, it'd be Jennings in the slot. So I think he's got to go and maybe have 1 or 2 years in Washington where he's like a screen slot specialist in this Kingsbury offense. But even that, like if he's 235, it won't matter. So good luck, Washington.
I truly believe the writing was on the wall when we saw what was that? The not the Lions game, but the at the Bears game where we kind of performed without him. And he tweeted, I think that was around the time where we actually were moving the ball on offense and he kind of got phased out. I feel maybe that was kind of the first time that we saw the offense without him and he was still on the field, so to speak, where we've never seen Kyle not target Deebo, right? As a matter of fact, we've seen him overutilize Deebo as far as targets are concerned. But being able to watch pretty much like the last 3 games of the season, seeing what he could do basically as Gen Pop, right? Your general population on this offense. You get it how you get it how you live. Go get open and maybe you'll see the ball. You don't get curated reps. You're not getting all of these easy now routes, these screens. Go get open. And I feel like he sulked a little bit. He didn't want to be normal. That's my biggest thing with him coming to the Commanders is that they kind of got a process where he can't preach championship DNA to them. He's never won. So he's going to get thrown in the gym population when he gets over here, and he's going to have to show improve. And I mean, I just think it's going to be more of the same thing because it ain't in him, right? You can't constantly get in shape, get out of shape, get in shape, get out of shape. Sure. You know, that yo-yo effect where it's not necessarily in your body, and he's going to do the same thing. And this isn't anything because I don't like the kid, but it's just what it is. He's going to overtrain again. He's going to get in shape to show everybody because he knows the mark is out on him, and he's going to get with the Commanders. And by week 5, we'll get another picture of Deebo coming out of his jersey. So that's just the long and short of it. I mean, I wish you the best. Your last tape was your best tape, but got to move on. Look, so guys, is this the most important 49ers draft since the Trey Lance trade? The 49ers have had are sitting on their highest draft picks and straight enough for Trey Lance at number 3 in 2021. Should they use it on a wide receiver, which we talked about, a lineman, or trade down for more picks out of the 11 that we already have? Is this draft the key to sustaining their success, or could bad picks set them back more years? I'll start with you, Jesse.
It's 100% the most important draft. I mean, last draft was the most important draft. This one's even more important. They've got to continue to hit on the draft. I mean, to me, I love the path that the 49ers are going. It's interesting because I think a lot of fans are really caught off guard. And I don't know if they're going to continue down this path, but at the moment, I love what they're doing, where they're trimming the fat, they're taking the cap hits, and then they're building seemingly towards 2026 and beyond. If that is the route they continue down, that is the right route, in my opinion. I've been calling for this since last offseason. I reiterated it at the trade deadline. But that means that you have to hit on these draft picks, because if you don't, then that rebuilding process is essentially null and void. So yes, it is the most important draft. Well, I think it's the most important draft since last draft. And that draft was the most important draft since the Trey Lance draft. But they have to continue to hit here, and they have to build through the trenches. They have a lot of picks. They do have a lot of holes, but they have to get stronger in the trenches on both sides. And that takes years to do. Why not start with this year? This year is the year. You've got plenty of picks. It is a trench-heavy draft. You can get a ton of really, really good future starters if you hit this right. So, yes, absolutely. It is the most important draft, for sure.
Grant.
It is. I mean, and I keep coming back to the offensive line because the Niners always have every reason not to draft an offensive lineman. I mean, they tried with Mike McGlinchey, but they always say, like, well, you know, here's what they do. They'll be like, we have the highest standards for offensive tackles. You know what I mean? We only want guys who are 6'9", 385, 36-inch arms, and run a 4.6. That's our standard at offensive tackle. And if we can't get that guy, then we'll just go with Colton McKivitz. It's like, come on, man, stop with that. Stop acting like you have like the best taste in offensive tackles. You are at 11. You may not be at 11 again for 5 years. There are 3 offensive tackles in this draft that are considered elite. Take one. Freaking take one. They're all better than Mike McGlinchey was. And you have a really good offensive line coach in Chris Forrester, man. Don't tell me that Kelvin Banks is just this or just that, man. Put him at right tackle. He'll be a Pro Bowl right tackle. Or Campbell or Membu. Like, that's what it's got to be. Because if you don't do it this year and you're drafting 26 next year, then you can't do it next year. You may never be able to draft another offensive tackle, and you can't sign him in free agency. You can't trade for him. It's a very, very hard position to address. And when you get a guy who's good, maybe not even great, he's on your team for 15 years. You just keep him. So I don't know. That's how I feel.
Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we say that every year, but it does feel like it is every year. I think this year in particular, what's interesting about this offseason, and Jesse touched on it already, is they're kind of doing what like we've been wanting them to do. Now, if they go into this draft and they invest in the trenches, oh, I'm just gonna be thrilled, right? Like they're cutting the fat. They're playing hardball with Brock Purdy. And if they invest in the trenches, it's like, wow, you guys are listening. They're watching the four-man front, apparently. But to answer your question, I do feel like it is, man. They have a lot of holes to fill, particularly in the trenches. If they go in here and invest in the trenches and do really well, they could set themselves up for the future. So I do think it's a really important draft, and they have a huge opportunity to do what we've been calling for them to do for 3 drafts in a row now. So, yeah.
I believe so as well. I think that this is manna from heaven. We keep getting breaks. It's almost shameful. We come with one of the best offensive line drafts that we've seen in probably the last 20 years and last year. And then they double right back up and not only give us defensive tackles and edges, but they give us more tackles. And dare I say it, but you got some of the best tackles in this draft right now that I see as guards. With your Kelvin Banks Jr., with your Will Campbell. I think these guys are guards. But for me,
I'm not even mad, dude. If you get an all-pro guard at 11, so be it, dude. I saw Tyler Booker in person. My God.
He's a man.
He's 325, but he's got like 8% body fat.
Yo, so let me tell you, man, like this is another thing is that because of the portal and because of COVID, a lot of players are staying in college a lot longer. Now, we've already talked about that in the guise of seeing more developed quarterbacks. But you know what else you get? You get really developed offensive linemen. You get really developed defensive linemen when they stay in a little bit longer, especially when
those positions need development.
Level. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Ozzie Trapillo, 6'7", 321 guard out of tackle out of Boston College. We could pick him up in the 3rd round. Jesse is already letting this is Jesse's guy. Anthony Belton, 6'5", 350-pound left tackle. Great feet, strong hands. You could pick him up in the 3rd round.
I like the idea of bringing in an offensive lineman who's not 300 pounds. 350? That'd be nice. And when do the Niners ever have a guy like that? Sewell's like 340.
Honestly speaking, if you want Trent Williams reincarnate, Josh Conley Jr. out of Oregon, he's Trent Williams. He's 6'4", 315 pounds. Fast feet, strong hands, can run all over the field. Ariante Ursieri, Minnesota, 6'6", 340, top 50 tackle. There's guys in this draft that can help us immediately. And if you really want to take it to the center position, we still have good centers in our boy out of Georgia, Jared Wilson. I think that Greg Zabel out of North Dakota State is somebody that can help us out at center. There's a lot to like in this year's draft, and we haven't touched guard. Honestly, my guard right now, if we got Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, just bury me 6 feet deep. I'm happy for the rest of the season. I don't even need to see the rest of the games. I mean,
is there a position group where you guys would be mad about the 49ers drafting early, 1st and 2nd round? If the 49ers draft this position in the 1st or 2nd round, would you guys be hot about it?
If they mess around and take a tight end, come on, man.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Corner,
it's like, that can be best player available, but that's a luxury pick. You don't have that luxury.
Running back.
Yeah.
Running
back, corner, tight end, or safety. Not because it'd be a retarded move. Sorry, I said the R word.
I wouldn't be mad at corner. I wouldn't be mad at corner, honestly.
I think we could still do. I think at corner there's still a lot of good depth late. You can get good DBs right now. I mean, your boy Jahdae Barron is the truth. I'll give you that. Okay. I'll give you that. But there's also great guys in the kid out of Iowa State, Darian Porter, who's a top 50 kid, and he's already 10 deep. We're already 10 corners deep on the list that I'm looking at right now with a guy like with guy like Darian Porter. Also as safety. I don't think that we've seen a safety draft this strong. Malachi Starks is the man, but my God, how do you ignore Nick Imawami from South Carolina? Then you got Xavier Watts, Kevin Winston Jr., and then Makuba. That's my draft crush at safety for the 49ers. So I feel like these are deep draft classes where you look at the position room and you say to yourself, all right, you look at the first 2 to 3 guys on every position group, and you're asking yourself, is 1 to 2 that big of a gap from 3 to 4? And there's not a lot of groups in this year's draft like that. They're kind of all mashed together. Safety, you could go 1, 2, or 3 at safety and get you a good safety. I feel the same way at DB, right? So yeah, picking up a tight end early on.
Can I ask you guys about another guy?
Sure.
Sorry, but if Cam Skidabo is available in the what round, the 49ers will absolutely draft him, right? Like if he's still there at 3, the 49ers are
4. If he's there in 4, it's a no. It's happening.
Yeah, I feel
happening.
like that.
Why
if the end of 3, they might do it too.
Afflicted players, bro. We always got to take the tryhards, bro. Like, no, we always see Rudy Rudiger, and it's like that guy's a Niner. How come we can't see like killers on the field and be like, he looks like a Niner?
I saw Scatty Boo in person at the combine. He's short. He's not Juszczyk. He's littler than Juszczyk. I'm just saying. Maybe he could be
draft a white skill player. At what point do we talk about that? I'm just saying. Like, at what point do we say something about this?
For the Utah Jazz,
you have a problem. You have a type. You have a fetish. Okay, stop.
You have a type.
Yeah.
They definitely have a type.
All your girlfriends look exactly the same. Stop.
Hey. Holden Tudix, $2. Thank you. If they trade 11, who's a likely replacement? I think Denver would be somebody who would want to trade up with us. If we trade down within the first round, do you guys want to bail on trenches, or you want to get somebody who you know?
No. I think he's saying if we trade 11, like Aiyuk, who's the likely replacement to Aiyuk?
Oh, if we trade 11. Oh,
Devontae Adams.
BA?
You know Devontae Adams wants to play for the 49ers.
I don't want Devontae Adams.
Does he? I think he might.
Yeah, he's from here. He wants to come home. I wants to play on the West Coast. I think he wants to play for the Niners. I can't prove it.
Brock though. Does he want to play with Brock, or is that an Aaron Rodgers?
He said he wants to play with a winner. He said he wants to be on a winner. Are the 49ers winners?
We ain't won.
So the
no, he doesn't. I don't think Devontae Adams gives a damn. He just wants targets and money. Sorry.
What about Chargers?
Play for the Jets.
Dude, the wide receiver free agency class this year is cheeks. Listen to this. It's Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson.
I wouldn't be mad at Amari Cooper on a 1-year deal. Like, I like Amari Cooper personally.
He's okay.
He might be washed.
He was struggling to get. I mean, if you got to struggle to get the ball with Josh Allen, you got to get how you live with Brock Purdy as your quarterback. Say that again.
They don't throw the ball very much on Buffalo, but they don't throw the ball very much over here.
Respect. I just would like. I believe that this year, all right, if we got somebody from free agency at the right price, that would clearly be a stopgap. But there's no future guys here that we would sign for multiple years in this, as far as free agency is concerned. Do you guys see anybody? No, that's why I floated the Ted McMillan option, because right now we don't have a number one.
There's some good receivers in this draft in round 2 and 3. There's some good receivers.
Ones.
I think there's some
you
ones
don't
out
need
there.
Ones. You don't pass that much, and you have George Kittle.
I think you need
you need as many 2s as you can get. Pearsall's a 2. Jennings is a 2. If you could add another 2, have 3 2s and Kittle and McCaffrey, like those are weapons. You're running the ball 40 times a game, 32 times a game anyway.
It's gonna be a mid-off. I don't like that, bro. You need a number 1 receiver, bro. You know what? I'm get off my lawn with this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have another one, but you don't necessarily have to spend a first-round pick to get it, or $30 million a year to get it.
Really, I feel
like a guy in round 3.
The Chiefs did win 2 Super Bowls in a row with the for sure number 1 receiver.
I feel
Say
like the
that again?
49ers really haven't had a number one in a while. Like Brandon Aiyuk is, I guess, a number one, but he's really just a dope number two.
All right, so we gonna act like they did need AJ Brown. I saw the jab that you put out there, Jesse.
Who are
Just
the
AJ Brown's
top
a great
three?
player.
They have Patrick Mahomes. It's
Who are
not
the top three
necessarily
wide receivers of all time? Who are the top three? Go. Who are the 5 best rappers of all time?
Jerry, T.O., and Randy.
Okay, and 2 of them don't have rings. So
Number one receivers are expensive, and they only touch the ball like 6 or 7 times a game. It's hard to justify the contract they get with the. I'm not speaking English correctly, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I meant.
You saw AJ Brown. You saw AJ Brown at the Super Bowl, though.
He's a great player.
for sure,
Great player.
All right, just making sure.
If they could get AJ Brown, I'd be all for that. I want him to draft AJ Brown instead of Deebo, but Deebo had, versatility.
He did. Those leather kilts. Hugo De Jesus, $199. Next Boombox song equals bye, bye, bye. Nasty work. Bye, bye.
Is the boombox dead? Is the boombox dead, guys? What do you think?
I personally think that Trent Williams kept it in the divorce.
Okay.
I mean,
I think it's going to be Ricky Pearsall and Cam Scattyboot next year, leading them down.
What if it's Brock and everybody's line dancing? Oh, will you come and put their lights down low? So look,
Pearsall would apply for that job. He'd want to be in that though. He'd be like, "No, I can dance. I know all the words to all the songs. I'm in it. I know the ad libs. I know the producer tags. I'm in. I want to be in. Down."
The boombox song, doing the boombox ritual before games is the equivalent of still playing serious the Bulls hype song after Jordan left. It's like it's different. Stop playing it. Dude, it's not like anymore.
Yeah. Like you guys are gonna win 20 games this year. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And now Ben Gordon.
Although I do think I do, if I remember correctly though, the boombox started like Joe Staley was one of the guys up front carrying that thing initially. If I'm not mistaken, oddly enough.
Wow.
And Deebo was like,
well, who had more swag than Joe Staley?
Nobody.
Hard to say. They took a swag drop off when they went from Staley to Trent Williams, but I mean, it's hard to match that.
Smack Jones 999. Thanks. Don't let Grant beat y'all with his takes. Don't let Grant beat y'all with his takes like he beat that parsley against the sick. Hey, yo, why nobody thinks Deebo asked for a trade to save face? He thought he was traded at the deadline. Yeah, I think he may have asked for a trade to save face because he already knew the writing was on the wall. I can see that happening. I cut you, you didn't cut me. Definitely something the scenario that Grant entered. Steve Supremo, $5. Thank you. Can you all answer a question in your internet voice? The voice you hear when you're reading a sarcastic comment. I guess Grant can use his regular voice.
What does this even mean?
I don't even understand that, Steve Supremo. And why are you using Slick Rick's face? I don't like that.
That is Slick Rick over there, Supremo.
That is Ricky.
Dazza 0187, $5.
Have you seen it? He's back.
Slick Rick's back?
He's back.
Thank goodness.
What's he talking about? He's back for free agency?
Time.
Oh yeah, he's back.
All right. Everybody wants to know where Devontae's going. Let's do it, Slick. At what point do GMs stop overpaying for mediocre QBs? Are QBs eventually in the future going to get $100 million a year? I have a theory about this. I love this question too. Sometimes I used to have a coach that would get angry with players and he would call it fake hustle. You're doing something to be seen, that you're just doing something for the sake of doing something. You want to be seen like you're busy, like you're getting a lot done. And sometimes quarterbacks get drafted just simply to save coach regimes' jobs. They know that they don't have a quarterback that they believe in, but they know they better get one if they want to be able to have a chance to stay inside of a regime. GMs do that too. They rubber stamp a lot of quarterbacks. They fit square pegs in the round holes when they know they truly don't believe in the guy. But they've talked so much cash money to these rich billionaires who don't know anything, and they're learning the game of football through them. So they have to give them some type of weird answer. Like Mitch Trubisky's the guy.
Guys. This is very, very important.
I read that.
Somebody in the chat, shout out to the Mac, said read Jason Lockenfor's latest tweet, guys. His latest tweet is 49ers playing hardball with Purdy is very on brand. Starting your offers at $45 million a year is something.
It's the correct thing to do.
Is let. Hold on. Who said this? Jason Lockenfor?
Yes, I love it. I love it.
I think they probably should have started at 40, but
it's the right offer.
Yeah.
It's the right offer.
It's the right offer. It's not even disrespectful. They shouldn't even. That's it. There's no world where Brock Purdy makes more money than Patrick Mahomes. Cannot happen. Can't fucking happen ever. I'm sorry. It can't happen. He at 45, he'd be making more than Josh Allen. Even that's wrong. So yeah,
who broke it down? Yeah. Was it Schefter that broke it down? Like the 40, Brock can make 5 on his current contract this year, then 41,
then 41, then 51.
51. So that's 97.
So that's 100 over 3.
Yeah.
That's the Baker Mayfield deal.
Yeah, I mean, so he's lucky to be getting that offer. They could stick with that and save money.
I mean, if they're starting at 45, I commend the 49ers. I mean, 45. It's the right deal, but I didn't think they had it in them. Everything that we were hearing about was basically them bending the knee.
Yeah.
It's the year. They're doing what we've been telling them to do.
They're ripping the Band-Aid off, which is amazing. How do you guys feel about this? What do you take from this?
Can I read a tweet that I sent out December 5th? It says prediction. Jesse. It says prediction. If Brock Purdy gets $45 million a year, the narrative will be what a swell guy. Brock took less money to help the team. When the reality is he wasn't worth the top money people thought he was, and the 49ers knew that.
45 a year makes me feel like there's somebody sane in Santa Clara. This thrills me.
Can I tell you who this is? This is the return of Parag. He's been sitting in the background, letting Kyle Shanahan overrule him for 8 years. Hey, I wouldn't do that. Okay, do it your way. Hey, I wouldn't. All right, let's do it your way. And now they're doing it Parag's way. And it's kind of interesting because this is the way it used to be around here. I mean, he wins these battles. He doesn't just give money over like Kyle does to his homies. It's pretty funny.
Starting at 45 is a great number.
They should end at 45. They should end at 45. There's no second offer.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going full Kremlin here. It's all about the evil empire. You do, 45 is 45, bro. With this, we could actually have a future in 2 years.
That's what I was going to say. That it feels like they're setting themselves up for the future. You know, they're definitely not going all in this season. They're recalibrating for the future. So it's probably a good thing in the long run.
This is great.
Parag's been in that cryogenic chamber just waiting.
Yo, he's coming out, man. He's using the Bulls breakouts music, man. Parag came out ready to go like, hey, Brock.
He had the 90s, like remember the button up like warm ups that you like ripped away the tearaways?
He's taking away his ripaways. He's taking off the ripaways. This is a hell of a tweet, bro. I love this, man. I think that this shows that you're right, Grant. Just not to step on your point, but yes, this does show that the organization is taking back over the reins a little bit, specifically Parag. Really, all right, so if Parag is stepping back in, then you would have to think that this is Dr. York, not Jed necessarily, where he's kind of said, hey, listen, I need eyes and ears. You need to get in there.
Parag was in the organization before Jed.
Yeah.
Parag was in the organization when Jed was in freaking college or wherever the hell he was. Parag was here like in 2001. Parag is OG status in this organization. Yes, John hired him and trusts him, and that guy has saved the Yorks a ton of money, and Kyle has cost them a ton of money. Return of Parag. There it is.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Hey,
that's Parag this offseason.
I think, you know what? I love it until I don't. But for right now, we've been let's just look at the top part of this. What it does is it stops the bleeding. We've been spending on old players for a long time. For these, I'm gonna tell you, this offseason, for what they did. They showed their ass, players and coaches. You gonna pay a guy at his wedding? And then he doesn't even play the season? You gonna let a guy tell you that I'm not coming back and then get on camera and do a podcast and then get in front of the whole camp, in front of the whole team and say, I kind of overreacted. It was a little me. I was the drama. Like, no. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
It was me.
There's a good point in this too, guys. There's another point.
I was hangry.
I think a few episodes ago, we talked about we'll get an idea how much the 49ers really believe in Brock Purdy based on two things. One of them was the contract that they offer. So we got that now. The other one is what backup quarterback they bring in. So we're going to see that what that looks like also. So, I mean, this kind of tells you, I mean, if they thought Brock Purdy was an elite quarterback, they wouldn't be offering him $45 million. They think he's a good quarterback, like most sane 49er fans do, but they don't look at him like an elite quarterback. That would be insulting to an elite quarterback.
So I guess the 49er way is just cheer like you're part of the John Jones cult and drink the Kool-Aid until it's time to actually break out money. Then it's like, whoa. Let's be rational. The game's over. Let's really talk about the money. I saw those missed throws, buddy. I wasn't cheering that hard. So we need to go ahead and reassess this money because $45 a year, I agree with you, Gray. Not only should I think this is a starting point, I think you get him for $45 a year. And if he wants to walk from the table, go out here and draft somebody, man. Go ahead and draft.
That's what I'm saying. Like if he says absolutely no on $45 million a year, say, oh, good to know. We're trading you. Or we're keeping you for one more year and then we're trading you. One or the other. And if they trade him this year, they could get a first-round pick. They have the 11. I don't know what they get for him, top 15. You could package those picks. You could go get Cam Ward. I mean, I'd be into that. I said
49 on your show on Monday, Grant. 49 was my limit.
Yeah.
Brock.
I mean, if you don't think that a dude is really worth $50+ million a year, why are you offering him anything? To me, you can always trade a dude for another guy who has 4 years of a rookie contract. And is he a great quarterback? No, but he's a great value. Is Brock Purdy a great quarterback? No, but he was a great value, and he won't be anymore once you pay him. So if he's really not worth it, don't try to go to this middle class route. Trade him. Go back to the rookie contract, dude. And if he's not the right guy, you'll find him the next year. I mean, the Niners whiffed on Trey Lance and found the guy the next year. Like, just put a great team around a rookie and it'll work.
Isn't that the thing? Like, isn't that the thing too? Like, you just mentioned it, right? Like, it's time to reiterate that. If Brock's not worth a top contract, then why pay him at all?
Exactly. Why?
Oh, whoa, hold on. Oh, you're putting a little too much dip on your
ship. He's either a guy who can elevate your team or he's not.
He's not.
If he's not a guy who can elevate your team, then what's the point of paying him $39 million a year? When you could get a guy who you can pay him $5 million a year, he also would need to be elevated by the team around him. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you need to actually have some type of continuity in the locker room. If you don't show any type of faith in Brock, it's going to be hard to get guys to come and fill out your locker room. All right. And it's hard for you to treat the guy like a redheaded stepchild and then turn around and ask him to lead your team. I don't think so.
He does.
Are you finally ready to add into the conversation, Jesse? Are you done?
I disagree with that. I disagree with that because it all depends on what these people around the league think of him. If around the league the consensus is he isn't that dude, then they're like, yeah, probably shouldn't pay him. So why would they care? I mean, there's only so much money that can go around in the league anyways. It's not the 49ers. First of all, the 49ers at every turn have done the right thing for every single player. The only one that you can argue is like, oh, maybe Buckner they didn't do the right thing for. Like, that was it. Everybody else they've done the right thing for. If you didn't want to take a pay cut, they let you Aiyuk, they let him search for his deal. Then they basically match. Deebo wants to trade? Go ahead. They paid Kittle. They paid Aiyuk. They paid Deebo. They've paid everybody up to this point. So if on the one player you take a hard stance and you're like, no, absolutely not, dude, that's not going to do anything as far as players wanting to come to the 49ers. I disagree with that.
I think it had something to do with how much they cucked for him before he got paid. I mean, dude, I mean, come on. You got state propaganda Lombardi over here, like spreading the gospel. You know what I'm saying? Like it was pretty bad.
Do we not remember that Jim Harbaugh did the same thing for Alex Smith, then did it for Kaepernick, and then after Kaepernick balled, he goes, "Oh yeah, no, listen, we're interested in Peyton Manning. We're seeing what he's doing this offseason."
That is true.
Who cares?
So true.
And guess what? It didn't matter, man. They still kept it moving. They still made it to another NFC championship after that.
I just want to say a lot of teams have given out awful contracts to quarterbacks because you got to have continuity. I mean, damn, Danny Dimes, he's our guy. We developed him. We drafted him.
Continuity. That's a high pick.
Tua,
and that's the
Trevor
Giants.
Lawrence. I mean, I think all I want to say is I think in the league coming up, we're going to see teams start to move on from quarterbacks and not feel like we have to have a guy for 10 years. It's great to have a guy for 10 years, but not every team has a franchise quarterback like that.
My thing is like why can't it be the Baker Mayfield situation where, why are we treating this like we spent so much capital on getting this guy? We could look at him and say, hey man, mid-30s, low 40s, you've done a good job thus far. Keep plugging along, soldier. You know what I'm saying? But you're not about to eat off us. We're not about to be like emotionally hijacked into paying you life-changing money. But he could still get paid.
They're offering him though. I just feel like they kind of hope he turns them down. And I think they kind of would be. I think the Yorks are kind of like the idea of not giving out like an $80 million signing bonus check in 2 months or a month. I think they could be sold on starting over at the quarterback position. Last year, they were all in. This year, they're like, oh, it costs how much to sign Brock? Cam Ward looks great. Shadur Sanders, he has great bloodlines. We should give him that Jackson Dart can spin it.
I mean, Brock didn't really look like a top 12 quarterback this season. So I'm okay
with
6
games.
I think you can find a mid-type quarterback to replace Brock for cheaper than $50 million a year. So that's why I don't really want to pay Brock. And I've been saying that.
So we've all seen enough.
Yeah.
So we've all
seen if Brock costs $50 million a year and Mac Jones costs $2 million, is Brock Purdy 25 times better than Mac Jones on this team?
No way in God's green earth.
Brock would have struggled on New England.
He would have.
That team sucked. Tom Brady struggled on that team. They got rid of him. They thought he was the problem. They sucked. So I just don't think you can find quarterbacks who can be good when elevated.
Did the Eagles win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy at quarterback?
Probably
the Eagles because of that roster.
Hold on. No. Hold on. The answer is no, because they would have lost to the Rams in the snow game.
Oh, that's true. Because it was precipitation. But any quarterback would have won the Super Bowl. I mean, the Eagles didn't give up any points or any yards. But that's true. It's true.
That's very true. All right, guys, we got time for the last one. We got about 12 minutes. Jesse, you got a heart out. Let's get some super chats in, by the way. Let's just do that from now on, from here on out. Cliff Super Bowls, $2. Sorry, sign a new kicker as well. I think he deserves to be fighting for his job. Smack Jones, all right, we already read that. We already answered this. Lawless Light 199, Devontae or BA?
I gotta go
BA.
Devontae.
Devontae, man. That BA contract is just awful.
It's so bad.
Hate that contract.
Frisco Shills 499. What's up, Frisco? 41 million is wrong. Over the cap estimates the QB tag for 26 million at 51 million. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, 50. Okay, so then let's say it's 51, 61, and 6. You're still at 110 million or whatever, or 120 million. That's still less than 45 million over 3 years, right?
Yep,
for sure. Steven Draper, $2. Parag is like, you miss me yet? Remember Varnell? And then you guys watch Martin? Oh, did you miss me? Yeah, y'all showing y'all. That's crazy that y'all don't know that episode. Dave Sims, 199. Shit, I missed it. I missed it all while waiting. Love you guys. Thank you. Asa, 86, $20. What's up, brother? Parag was brought on board by Walsh. Coach is back. I was about to file a missing persons report. It's a good day in Niner World. Thank you, guys. Toddlerone Gaming, $2. They should have started a 40-year over 40 years. They should have started at 40 years over 40 million a year at 4 years. I wouldn't be mad at 40. I think we could do better than 40 though. If they're starting at 45, bro, negotiations that start at 45 don't go up.
What if
sorry.
it went down? What if it went down? What if the next offer is 40?
I'd love it. I would love it.
Today's offer is not yesterday's offer.
Come on, man. Today's price is not yesterday's price. If this is what the Niners are doing, we deserve this. And you know what? It's actually showing what good organizations do. The purse strings have to get snatched. We did it their way. We have all of these overloaded contracts where we're top heavy as hell. I love this. I don't care if they offer him a ham sandwich and a bag of potato chips. I'm like, hey, you gonna sign or not? I'm with it. That's a 0187 $2. What do you think Purdy's trade value is? I'd say a late first, early second. Dave Sims, 62 subscribers because of you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Great one, $765. If for some strange reason Shedeur falls to 11, do we take him and trade the Purdymites god to Pittsburgh? I do not like Shedeur Sanders.
Me either.
I haven't watched Shedeur, so I couldn't tell you. I will say this. Should the way just based off of watching a little bit of him, he plays more like a Kyle Shanahan quarterback than people realize.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, a lot of people are down on him, but I think Kyle would like him.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
And Kyle likes players who are related to famous players because like him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
and that's you know what, Grant, and that's what I didn't want to say. You find way better ways to say things diplomatically. I mean, I want to say things that are just completely crass and off the wall, and you get to it. But yes, I don't trust a quarterback with, with the father of Deion said. We might have Deion in here calling shit. Like Deion might be showing up to practice. Kyle couldn't say no. I don't trust him. He's not his own man yet. So you get a personality as strong as Deion on our team or around our team.
He'll be coaching in 2 years.
Man, shit,
Kyle's job in a year and a half.
And here is our DB's coach. You never know, bro. I don't want every time Deion decides to take off his golden headset and speak it to the mic, the Niners have to listen. I don't want to live in that world. I don't. I don't want to be strapped to his commentary where I have to listen to what he says all the time.
Yeah.
It's too much of the grift. I'm sorry. Brunt, you and this name, bro. $5. Jackson Dart season. That motherfucker's got aura. I like Jackson.
He does have aura.
The hardest ball for whatever that's worth.
Did anybody see the latest, like somebody put together a hype video for him? Did anybody catch that?
No.
It starts out with like the first 5 seconds of his ex-girlfriend, like, yeah, he's been cheating on me for a year. And then it goes into a hype video.
Oh, I love that.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's so wild.
That's $01872. Currently, only 4 QBs in the league are worth 50+ million. I'd argue maybe 2. Dave Sims 199. You know how happy I'd be if Brock was traded. And I'd see what we have to get with him. Nick Meyer 199. Cuz can play coach. I don't know. Charlotte Q $5. I agree. Brock did struggle this year, but he was out there with 4th string people and Walmart greeters. I would go to 42. I would go to 49 to 52. I would go 49 to 52 max and get him a better O-line. Shyla, I really love your commentary, Shyla, but he had Deebo Samuels out there. He had George Kittle out there. It wasn't just nobody. He had enough.
Everybody wants to extend Jawan Jennings all of a sudden, but he was trash. Like, I don't understand it. You can't have it all.
People be like, the Niners had no separation at the catch point. Jennings is trash. Then be like, actually, Jennings was huge last year. Let's keep him on the team. Is he good or bad?
I'm not a big fan of like shooting them bail. That now that we finally have a realistic rendition of what our team looks like when we struggle, now we want to start shooting Brock Bell. Come on, man. We got to keep, and this isn't to attack you, Shala, but we got to keep the main thing the main thing. The premise was we got to see this kid through all elements of the game because we were freaking white hot when he first got here. Nobody wants to admit that. We were hot when he stepped on. Now we cooled off a little bit and we got a chance to see it. It is what it is, man. If Trey Lance can get 4 games, then Brock, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, hey, guys, Do we have time? I don't think we have time for another topic, guys. Let's go ahead and just cut it off at this one right now. Gentlemen, it was so good to be back. You know, just Grant, you always get me emotional, bro. So
I know.
look, hey man, it was good to be back. I will be back with Tom Jensen for the Faithful Review. The coaches meeting is back this week. We back, dog. Ryan G. Hensley, Jesse Naylor, Grant Cohn. Thank you guys for coming through. Peace.